Good morning, Facebook friend. This is Bowman this morning with our monthly seminar. And glad to be with you this morning. As we get started this morning, I have an interesting subject that I want to talk about this morning. Go ahead and invite your friends and family, get them plugged in this morning. As we talk about life this morning, we call it Life 101. Got some pretty interesting concepts that I want to share with you this morning. But before we get started, I want to do a little housekeeping this morning. Matter of fact, quite a bit. You know, on next Saturday, we will be in Cairo, Georgia, doing our August town hall meeting on building wealth. That would be the 21st, which will be next Saturday, from 11 until 12:30 there at the library in Cairo, Georgia. And then on the following Saturday, we'll be in Nashville, Georgia, doing a financial town hall meeting as well. And if you can join us at any of those locations, we'd be more than pleased to have you in attendance. Now we done the COVID protocol at all of the locations. You must have your mask, and we are done distancing as well. So if you will, prepare to be with us on those two occasions. But this morning, I want to do a review of where we started from earlier this year, back in January. We started out with Knowledge is Power with this particular book here. This is our goals book. We started out with that book there back in January, and in January, February, and March, we talked from this particular book. This is The Power of Goal Setting. And what it does, it breaks down all of the areas in order that you can develop a personal development program based on your own life. Very effective book. Very effective book. And if you like to get your copy, you can call us and get your copy of your personal goals book. Okay, so we've been through this one, and March and April, we was working from this particular book here. March and April, we were working from that book there. That is a Mind Food book. Mind Food. A book there. We worked in that book from March and April. Okay, March and April. And then we left that book and we started working with this particular book. War on Poverty, which is part of the Building Wealth 101. Part 1, Building Wealth 101, Part 2. So we went through that one. And now we are in this particular book. We are in John 10:10 book that we've been working in this book, and we'll be working this book for August and September. Okay, so this morning we're going to be talking about the wisdom of John 10:10. I have waited all spring to get to this book here, John 10:10, which is a very powerful book. Very powerful book in term of teaching. Okay, so I ask you to get your pen and paper, if you will, and if you have some questions, you can type your question in on your phone. I can see it, and I answer your questions this morning. But we have a lot that we want to leave with you today. But before we get started, I want to start out with my scriptures. You know, I always go in with my scriptures as a foundation for everything that we do. The scriptures can aid you spiritually and visibly through your life based on your relationship with those scriptures. Now, the very first one always will be John 10:10. John 10:10 revealed to the listener and also revealed to the reader the wisdom of the physical world in which we live. That there is two spiritual kingdoms that actually control everything that goes on in the physical world. And John 10:10 revealed that wisdom, that there are two spiritual kingdoms that actually influences and actually control everything that goes on in human consciousness. Could be a better way of putting it, okay? And we're looking forward this morning to talk about that. We have some material that we want to share. The next one will be Matthew's 6:5, the Lord's Prayer, saying that let my kingdom come, let my will be done on earth as it is done in heaven. Let my kingdom come, let my will be done on earth or in earth as it is done in heaven. The next will be Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. The next one will be Deuteronomy 8:18. Remember that it is the Lord who giveth thee power to get wealth or to become wealthy. Remember that it is the Lord who giveth thee power to get wealth or to become wealthy or to enter into the promised land. They're all the same. Proverbs 29:18. Proverbs 29:18. Where there is no vision, the people perish. Where there is no vision, the people perish. And the last one will be Matthew 7:7. You have not because you ask not. If you ask of the Father, and by me being a good Father, whatever you ask of me, I will grant it unto you. You have not because you ask not. Beautiful, beautiful statement of the Father. Okay. All right. Now let me see. Can we get some wisdom from where I'm going this morning with this particular teaching. Now, I want you to get this. I want you to get this principle. There is a principle in the Bible that is called spirit made flesh. Spirit made flesh. Now, on the surface, it seemed like a small, insignificant principle. But in actuality, it is the foundation. Is the foundation of the physical world. Now, let me repeat that again. There is a physical and spiritual principle pertaining to the spirit realm and also the physical realm of life, the two realms, that is called spirit made flesh. Now, on the very surface of that, it seemed like a simple, insignificant principle. But that principle is at the heart of creation. Is at the heart of creation. Spirit made flesh. And I talked about this before, that I gave the example of Jesus when he was commissioned by the Father to pay for the sins of man. That one of his requests from the Father that he would need a body if he was going to do anything in the physical world that would pay the price for sin. And that is an illustration of the workings of the physical world in which we live. That in order to participate in the physical world, you will need a body. I hope you're getting this now. This is heavy. In order to participate in the physical world in which we live in, you will need a physical body to participate. All right, keep that principle in mind. Then I'm going to try to link everything else according to that principle. And when we finish, I hope you will have a clear picture of Life 101. That you would have the meaning of life, and why life is given, and what life is all about, and also the source of life and the source of life. Okay? Spirit made flesh. And let me share this with you. To give a foundation statement of spirit made flesh, it can be better understood as though we came from the spirit realm. Before we was born, we was actually a spirit without a body. I want to take my time, and I want you to get this, because this is foundation to teaching 101. This is not religion. This is just the workings of the physical and spiritual world in which we live, giving some understanding about what's going on with this thing that we call life. Okay? This thing that we call life. Before we was born into the world, we was a spirit. And we were commissioned by the Creator to come into the world through our parents, through the process that He created for humans to be born into the world. And by so doing, we became a spirit with a body. The spirit with the body. And that body will participate in the physical realm until its time is up, and it will pass from the physical world back to the spirit world when it's over with. When life is over with, the spirit goes back to the spirit realm and the body decays. Very, very beautiful process when you truly understand what's going on with what we call Life 101. Life 101, spirit made flesh. We came from the spirit realm and has been assigned a body, and we participate in the physical world with our body. And then when it's over with, the spirit leaves the physical world and go back to spiritual world. And that way it live out eternity. It came from eternity. It spent a very short time in the physical world. And it goes back to eternity. That's pretty good teaching. Life 101. Life 101. But let me share this with you. In the midst of living, based on the two spiritual kingdoms, there is a word in the Bible that they call an adversary. 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 Now let me explain the essence of an adversary, and then it will begin to make sense. An adversary is basically someone who opposes you, who is against you, and who would want to destroy you. Would be an adversary. An adversary would not be someone on your side, would be against you. Adversary. And the Bible talks about that we have an adversary that goes to and fro in the earth looking to see who he can devour. See who he can devour. Now, to understand the workings of John 10:10, John 10:10 reveal the two spiritual kingdoms and how those two spiritual kingdoms actually influences or control everything that goes on in human consciousness. What would be the teaching? Two spiritual kingdoms, one good master and one bad master, or one bad adversary. And in the midst of life, you have this adversary in the game of life, whose mission would be to destroy mankind. Let me repeat that again. The adversary in life mission would be and is to destroy mankind. That's his whole mission. And if you begin to look at life, begin to look at life and everything that goes on in life, you can begin to see the pluses and the minuses. Or you could begin to see the good and the evil in life, which is the expressions of those two kingdoms. The kingdom of God sent forth good spirits into the world. And that's what makes up our good character and makes up our good consciousness, that makes up our good thoughts, that makes up our good actions. The other kingdom sent forth evil spirits into the world. I think in my notes I have the source of evil. The source of good spirits into the world, and the source of evil spirits into the world. And those spirits makes up who we are as our consciousness, or as our soul, as of who we are as individuals. We are a collection of spirits, or a collection of thoughts that come from the two spiritual kingdoms. That's basically who we are. We are the combination of those two spiritual kingdoms, sending forth spirits into the earth to look for a host that makes up who we are. And the wisdom in this teaching would be to know and to encourage the good kingdom and discourage the bad kingdom in life. You know, I was watching a picture the other day, and this thought came to me, and I'm going to share it with you. I was watching. It wasn't a. Oh yes, it was. I know what it was. I know what it was. It was this movie with Wayne Johnson, skyscraper movie, and the essence of the movie. Now I have a point here. Now you need to get this point. The essence of the movie was that this billionaire had built this beautiful tower, this skyscraper, the tallest in the world. And he was getting ready to insure the building. And he had Wayne Johnson to come in to do a presentation of the security system of the building, that he could get it underwritten with this insurance. But that was something going on behind the scene. Now I want you to get this story, because this story has a powerful punchline, and this is the reason I'm telling it. Behind the scene, that was a group of guys who was against the owner of the building, his adversary. And what they decide to do, they decide to take over his building. As a matter of fact, they set it on fire, the building, beautiful building. They set it on fire. And they wanted to destroy the man building. To make a long story short, all of the guys who tried to destroy the man building was killed. They was killed at the end. The lesson in that would be, when they decide to take over the man building, did they realize that at the end that they will be dead? Let me repeat what I just said. That when they was convinced to carry out this plan to take over the man building, did they realize at the very end that they would be dead? I'm not very serious they took that in consideration. But it was already written into the plan that they was not aware of it, because they likened the wisdom of the law of means and end. They didn't take it in consideration. Life is like that. Life is like that. I have some points that I want to make coming off of that story about the game of human destruction coming from the adversary. The adversary sets you up. That's his job. The adversary entices you to do his will, knowing all the time that the end will be destruction. Build in. And I have a few areas that drugs. When the adversary entices you to tempt you to do drugs, to get drunk, would be the object of his destruction, depending on what he used to accomplish his end. That's the adversary. And the whole purpose of the adversary would be to destroy you. That's his mission. And you need to know this. Wisdom 101, coming from John 10:10, two spiritual kingdoms, based on their desires and that motive which they carry out in the physical world. Two spiritual kingdoms. One send forth good spirits into the earth, the other send forth bad spirits into the earth. Drugs. The adversary find individuals who will participate for him to sell, to create, to manufacture drugs to be sold to God's people with the prime purpose of destroying them. That's the whole purpose of drugs. Drugs are designed to destroy the physical and mental and spiritual body of a human. Drugs are designed to do that. And humans are willingly participating in a game of self-destruction. And a game of self-destruction. Let me give you another area. Now this area here is pretty interesting. Would be the area of music. Music. How does the two kingdom use its music to influence? You have two kingdoms that send forth music into the world to entertain and to influence the people of God. And when I use the people of God, I mean mankind. You say all human belongs to the Creator, regardless of what race, what country you live in, it doesn't matter. We are all sisters and brothers. We all came from the same Father. Okay? Music. And the sender of the music that we find in the earth. Some music that has made its way into the world, music to inspire mankind to do greater things, to lift itself out of poverty. Music coming from the kingdom of God. But there's another kind of music that comes from the kingdom of Satan. That music is designed to destroy you. If you listen to it, the lyrics, the beat, are designed to destroy you. If you allow it to become internalized in your soul, and it begin to reproduce those spirits in your life. You have a source of good music, and you have a source of bad music or evil music in the world. And the question would be to those who participate in life, can you identify? Can you identify the good music that will inspire you to do good? Or can you identify the music that will motivate you to do evil or to do wrong? Can you identify the source of the music? Point blank. The source is not man. Man is just the conduit that the music is being sent through. Remember that everything that goes on in the physical world comes from one of the two spiritual kingdoms. And you're not supposed to forget that. That's the working of the physical world. That's the way he created it to be. That he fixed it, that he influences creation. But he also gave permission to this other kingdom to do likewise, to use the same method that he used to influence his creation. One kingdom to inspire you to do great things in life, and the other one will destroy you based on its missions. Two spiritual kingdoms. And that's basic teaching 101. It's the same teaching that a farmer uses when he get ready to plant a crop. He has to understand the laws of farming in order to get a harvest. If he fails to follow the rules of farming, he would toil in vain because he don't understand the laws that govern farming. Same thing with life. You can be given a life to live, but if you don't understand the laws of life, you're probably not going to live an effective life because you haven't had the opportunity or have not been convinced to learn the laws of life. There are laws to life. And the quicker you learn the laws of life and use those laws, just like the farmer, you will get a better crop. You will get a better crop, meaning that your life will be fruitful. Will be fruitful. Your cup runneth over type of life. We talked about drugs would be one way that the enemy destroys God creation. Drugs. We're talking about music. We talked about music. Some of the stuff that our kids are listening to are straight from the pit of hell. All of the cussing, all of the B word, the F word, that's straight from hell. That's straight from the kingdom of Satan. And they don't know it. They don't know it. They volunteer in self-destruction. And out of those spirits come murder, come raping, stealing. All of the evil spirit that we see in the world come through that music. The motivation, the influence of the minds of our youth come through that music. That rap music, you name it. And when I was coming up, you had the rhythm and blues music, all of the same. I told a friend of mine the other day, he and I was talking, and I was talking about when I was coming up in the 60s, we had the same kind of music. we was inspired by those fleshly music. That's all it was, the flesh. Same thing today, the flesh. It just shared with them that we're eating off the same apple that Eve that Eve ate off of. It just in a worse condition now. The same apple, being persuaded by the same kingdom that persuaded Eve to eat the apple. That same kingdom still persuading God's people to eat the apple. The apple will be his way of living, his way of doing things, his evil ways. That's the apple. Or the spirit that comes from his kingdom, they are rapid in the world, and you need to know and be able to identify those spirits that come from his kingdom. This is why we do these teachings, to teach that there are two spiritual kingdoms that send forth spirits into the world, that makes up our consciousness, makes up our soul, based on who we are. And we have been given a time to participate in the physical world with our lives. And then when our lives are over with, someone else will come to participate. And it has been going on like that from the beginning. We come from a spirit realm and to the physical realm. And then when we die, our spirit return once more to the spirit realm. Beautiful process. And that's what life is all about. That's life 101. It has been like that from the beginning. And it will be like that until he decides to change it. Okay? Here's another area that we have to be conscious of. Money. Now, there's an old tale in the Bible about the love of money. The love of money is the root of all evil, and everybody very familiar with that teaching. The love of money, the root of all evil. Money is it's just a tool. It's just a tool. Money can't do evil. Money can't do good by itself. It has the mind of the person who owns it. Let me repeat what I just said. Money by itself cannot do either or. But the person who has it, that makes it, would be the determining factor whether money would do good in the world or whether money would do evil in the world. Nothing wrong with money. Nothing wrong with money. Money is good to be used for good things in the world. But when money become bad is when bad people take money and use it for bad things. Money in the world. And the enemy, he will entice you, because that's his job, to trick you to do anything for money. He will influence you to do anything for money. That's his job. And you have to be careful. A lot of times people don't want to use the victim statement, but I use it all the time. That man is a victim. that man in his weakness get enticed, get pulled into a situation of the enemy that would call him sorrow. Ask David. Ask David. Ask Peter. Ask Paul. They all was enticed and pulled into a situation by the enemy like he's doing right now today, trying to entice you to do evil. And it's very cunning the way the enemy tried to allure you into doing his will. Spiritual warfare. Two spiritual kingdoms. One bring wealth into the world, then the other bring poverty into the world. One create good human conditions, and the other create bad human condition in the world. See, every human condition that you see in the world has a source. I'll repeat that again. Every human condition in the world has a source. It comes from one of the two spiritual kingdoms that create the conditions. You cannot have a physical condition that was not created by one of the spiritual kingdoms. It wasn't designed that way. It was designed that those two spiritual kingdoms would be the conduit that create all human conditions. That's very powerful. That's very powerful. Money can be used for good, or it can be used for bad, depending on the holder of the money. Depending on the holder of the money. What about sex? Sex has gotten completely out of control. Oh, we have gone overboard with physical gratification. Sex on TV. Loose sex. Just going wild. There's a term in the Bible that the Lord said that I will turn you over to a reprobate mind. Reprobate meaning that everything that you conceived out of you would be evil. Everything that you would desire would be evil based on your consciousness. That's a reprobate mind. And in essence, what he is saying that everything that comes out of you would be evil. Your cities would be evil. Your communication would be evil. You would raise your kids to be evil, to wear their pants down, walk around showing their underwear, hijacking cars and stealing and drugs all of the evil. That's a part of the reprobate mind that you have allowed the kingdom of Satan to just take over. And everything that comes out of your mouth comes from the kingdom of Satan. All of your doubts come from the kingdom of Satan. All of your conversation come from the kingdom of Satan. You have no goals. You have no ambitions. You can't see tomorrow in faith. That is part of the reprobate mind, that you can't see paradise anymore. You can't see good anymore. Decontamination of the kingdom of Satan and the physical world in which we live. The reprobate mind, the killing, the stealing, the sex, the greed. Even in government, the highest office in the land, you see the contamination of the kingdom of Satan in the halls of Congress. Even in the church, the preachers, the pope, the bishops, the cardinals, they all caught up. They all caught up. You know, when the Lord said, "Let my kingdom come, let my will be done on earth as it is done in heaven," that meaning that He desired for His spirits to come to the world and to take the place of the spirit of the kingdom of Satan. And those spirits that He'll talk about, good spirit, you can check your inventory of spirits. That don't have anything to do with heaven or hell. We're going to preach. We're going to teach on that one day, because there's a misconception of the power of the blood based on sin, because hell is a conduit of sin, and if the price has been paid for sin, then obvious would be the end. But we don't understand that. The mission of life would be to become wise enough to understand the workings of the two spiritual kingdom, and to entice the kingdom of God to manifest itself more and more and more in the world, and the kingdom of Satan dies until he is no longer present in the world. That is the workings of the two spiritual kingdoms. That is the wisdom of John 10:10. Whereas the kingdom of God increases and the kingdom of Satan decreases. It's the same principle. It's the same principle that God revealed to the devil when he was trying to influence Job. It's the very same principle. Do you remember when Satan met God, and God asked Satan where? He said, "What are you up to?" He said, "You know what I do." He said, "I go to and forth in the earth, looking to see who I can contaminate, or to see who I can destroy." That's what Satan told God. And God knew that, because God has made a pact with Satan to influence his creation with his permission. Now that's God's business. Because you would not have evil spirits in the world to be the opposite of the kingdom of God unless God allowed it to be for his own purpose. And I explained to you one day why he did that. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful It's a beautiful game between two spiritual kingdoms. One good and one bad. Those are spirits. Beautiful game. And we'll see whether or not you will learn the lesson and how to play the game. But the story of Job was that Satan wanted to influence. Satan wanted to influence Job, as an example. And you have Christians who has been able to withstand the temptation of Satan throughout history. And you have some who has fallen for it. David fell for it. When he walked out on the balcony and saw Bathsheba, the weakness of the flesh, he fell for it. And a series of action took place from the lust of the eyes. You got me? But Satan could not get to Job. The Bible said that God had a hedge around him. The hedge was Job understanding the temptation of life. Job will not allow himself to be tempted by the things of Satan, meaning that he could not get to Job. And he referred to it as a hedge. And this is where wisdom come in at. Wisdom come in that way. If you have an IQ test, a spiritual IQ test, and it goes from 1 to 10, and you will score a 2 on the spiritual IQ test instead of a 9, 8, 9, or 10, the chances of you being very successful will be very limited because you lack the knowledge of the spiritual wisdom that is required to be successful. You have not put in the time, nor have you put in the effort to grow your wisdom when it comes down to the spiritual IQ test. It's the same thing with finance. If you have a finance IQ test from 1 to 10, and you score a 3 on there, you'll never become a millionaire. Because you hadn't put the time into study, learning how. Same thing with a farmer. If you have 10,000 acres of land and you got 50 tractors and you ain't learned how to farm, will you ever get a harvest? No. This thing we call Life 101 has not been taught as a principle like it should have been taught from the beginning. It has been taught as a religious experience. And by so doing, it has not adequately taught the people how to live. How to pluck apples from the tree and know that they are apples instead of plucking peach when you want apples. That comes with wisdom. And you look at your condition of your life and you want to know what happened. Yeah, you want to know what happened. What have happened is that your life has been influenced more about what you cannot do than what you can do. You have lived your life more on the side of doubt than on the side of faith. And that is two kingdoms. You remember when the children of Israel was in the wilderness? Well, separate example can be explained based on what I just said, based on how you have lived your life, based on looking at your condition of life, would be a direct reflect of your wisdom that you bring to the table from life. If you bring doubt or you bring faith, and how deep is your doubt and how deep is your faith? You can look at your life, you can look at your community and tell how deep your faith is. Real powerful teaching. And if we are going to change the world, if the Lord's Prayer is going to become real, let my kingdom come, let my will be done in earth as it is done in heaven, we're going to have to understand what that means. Let my kingdom come. Let my will be done on earth or in earth as it is done in heaven, meaning that the kingdom of God desires to come and take the place of the kingdom who seems to be dominating the earth. Is the same guy that he was talking to at Job's door and asked him what was he up to. And he went ahead to explain, to God what he was up to. And that was, he was trying to look for someone to devour. He does it 24/7 to try to find a way to convince you to do his will. We talked about drugs. We talk about these are things that corrupt you. These are things that will destroy you, that the enemy used in order to do that. He used drugs. He used music. He used money. He used sex. He used your family. Sometimes your worst enemy that working for the enemy can be right there in your family. Right there in your family. Every time you come up with a good idea, they shoot it down. It's not them that's shooting it down. It's the spirit that is in them that's shooting it down. You never get a good, encouraging word from a family member. And the family member can be you, being used by the kingdom of Satan to stifle your effectiveness in the world. Quite interesting. This is why I said that I wanted to get to this John 10:10 teaching. I have waited all year because this John 10:10 teaching is the heart of everything that goes on in the physical world. It is life 101. John 10:10 reveals the workings of life. That there are two spiritual kingdoms that create human condition in the world. And the life that we live will reflect which kingdom is working in our lives. And I told you, don't try to plug in heaven or hell with this, because you will be wrong. If you try to look at a person's condition and to determine that they will be going to hell or heaven, you're wrong. Because that don't have anything to do with the game. The game would be whether or not you will be an effective steward in what kingdom that you're working for in life. and what you bring to the table. Well, will you learn how to be a successful farmer? Or will you have the 10,000 acres and 50 tractors at your death, unused? That's what it's all about. Will you add to creation and make a difference? Or will you take away from creation and the world will not even miss you when you go? Interesting. This game of spirit made flesh, and this game of spiritual warfare is another way to receive wisdom. We are in the midst of a spiritual warfare. All of the wars that have ever happened in the world goes all the way back to the beginning. Every killing, every murder, every sin, every evil act comes out of this thing we call spiritual warfare. See, spiritual warfare, in its essence, is nothing but the manifestation of the two spiritual kingdom in the physical world carrying out their mission. And let me repeat what I just said. In the physical world in which we live, the terminology of spiritual warfare would mean that you have two spiritual kingdoms. They are warring against each other for souls. That's all spiritual warfare. Are conditions, trying to set up strongholds in your heart and your soul for you to carry out the deeds of that kingdom. That's all spiritual warfare is. And they use drugs and music and money and sex and family as part of the tools in the game of spiritual warfare. Fantastic. Fantastic. And I told you about it. I don't like to use. I don't like to hold man accountable for its weakness, because man is weak. Man is weak, and based on unconditional love of the Father, encompass man's weakness, and it should. It's the same love that Jesus showed on the cross when they were nailing his hand and his feet to the cross, and he said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." And he was absolutely right. They had been convinced by the power to be that he deserved to be on the cross. And he asked the Father to forgive them. And that same unconditional love has been applied to mankind all over the world. Because man's weaknesses of the flesh can get him ensnared by the enemy, the adversary. And let me share these with you. The human soul. The human soul is a collection of spirits that makes up who you are. The I am good because I have good spirits in me. I am bad because I have bad spirits in me. You cannot do good without good spirit doing it through you. You cannot do evil without evil spirit doing it through you. Your soul, you are a collection of spirits. And a smart man would collect good spirits instead of bad spirits. That's a smart man. He will encourage a good crop instead of a bad crop. That's a smart man. And we're gonna do a teaching on Proverbs. That crossed my mind the other day to teach some wisdom from Proverbs. Proverbs and Ecclesiastes is a good teaching when it comes down to wisdom. The human soul, the two spiritual kingdoms, trying to deposit spirits in your soul, which makes up who you are. You are your soul. You are the spirit that is found in your soul, that makes up who you are. Good or bad. You cannot commit murder unless the spirit of murder will be found. The evidence, the forensics, would be the spirit that caused you to do the deed. That's pretty good. That will cause you to do the deed. You cannot do the deed without the spirit, and actually the spirit is the deed. You cannot cheat. You cannot commit adultery. You cannot fornicate. You cannot lie without the spirit. The spirit is the deed. You cannot commit the act without the spirit, because the spirit is the act. Pretty good. Is the act. And when that wisdom set in, then you can encourage to plant more of the crop that you desire in life, and stay away from the crop that will destroy you. That's a wise steward. That's a wise steward. The human soul, the human mind, the human thought, human temptation, human influences, human contamination, human weaknesses, human desires. Interesting. We are dealing with all of those in this thing we call Life 101. The human soul, the human mind, human thoughts, human temptation, human influence, human contamination, human weaknesses, human desires, human need. You know, I often when I travel, the law of you are. the law of you can look at a person's life and you can tell who's living there. Now let me explain what I mean by that. It's a beautiful, compassionate position to take, because the wisdom show you that person's life can change on a dime if you change the spirits. If you look at a person's life and they are down and out, they are struggling, they are dejected, that is not the person, the body that is in that condition. There are the spirits that cause the body to be in that condition. If you get rid of those spirits, the body will change. Let me repeat what I just said. The beauty of life is that you can dump out the dirty water, the contaminated water, and put in clean water, and the body will change. See my point? What we have been trying to, there's an old saying, and here's what the saying says. It's a beautiful saying. They said that if you change the hearts of the people who live in the community, they will change the community. But if you don't change the hearts of the people in the community, you can change the community and give it time, it's going to be right back like it used to be. If you don't get Egypt out of the hearts of man, then Egypt going to go everywhere he or she goes. Poverty thinking. See my point? And those are spirits. All of those are spirits. You can tell what spirit is at work if you understand that every spirit is known by its name. Poverty is named poverty. Sick is named sick. And all of the degree of sickness, arthritis, cancer, you name it, they're all known by their name. And you can identify which one is at work in every life. Now, that just pertaining to this life. Now, that don't have anything to do with the other life. Because I told you before, we was a spirit before we receive a body. And after this body has served its purpose, the spirit leaves and go back to eternity, where it will spend out eternity. It's going to go back to where it was. That's the beauty of it. And it's just a season that you will be alive to participate in the physical world. Just a season. And you're out of here. No love lost. Because that which came before is greater than now, and that which comes after is greater than then. But you have to understand that. You are only sent here for a time and season to participate, you, in life, to make a difference, to play the game. That's why you were sent. You was born into the world, educated to play the game of life, to add to it, to make a difference in life, to learn how to play the game of life. Beautiful. What is life? What is life? It is both spiritual and physical. What is life? It is a spirit made flesh to participate in a physical world. It is a spirit made flesh or made physical to participate in the physical world, and when it's over with, it's out of here. And you have two influences in the physical world try to set you your course, which will be the kingdom of God and will be the kingdom of Satan. The source of good spirits into the world and the source of bad spirits into the world. It can be stated the source of evil. See, evil have a source. Whenever you see evil in the world, it has a source. They got this thing now. They talk about defund the police. A lot of them defund the police, meaning that if the police officers is an authority figure that's supposed to fix your plumbing to keep your house from flooding, and you want to defund the plumber, that means that when your house floods, you have no one to keep your house from flooding. Does that make sense? I want to defund the electrician. See how silly that is? Who in the world is supposed to protect you from evil? The police officers are there to protect you from evil. That's the reason they are there. And you can get caught up in the game that Satan plays with the game of twisting the truth. And you can be on the wrong side of an issue and not even know it. That's fine. You suffer the consequences of your decisions. You got me? Whatever ignorance that you bring to the table, you suffer the consequences of that ignorance, even though you believe it to be true. That's the same thing with Jesus. All of those who participated in saying, set Barabbas free was ignorant of the truth. And they shouted louder than they could shout it. Defund Jesus. It was wrong. But they didn't know it. Only a higher power, wisdom, understand the workings of the two spiritual kingdoms in the physical world, and that power of unconditional love encompass both of them. It encompassed the ignorant, and it also encompassed the smart person, meaning that it finds compassion with both, and I condemn neither. I condemn neither the dumb man, nor do I condemn the smart man. Boy, that's beautiful. I condemn neither. It's nothing but a game. Why would I condemn you? If you wind up on the wrong side, suffer the consequences. It's nothing but a game. If you say the wrong thing and you get the wrong results, fine. Ain't nothing but a game. You learn from it. You learn from it. If you said this year defund the police, and then 5 years later you hollering we need to hire more police. See the difference? All depends on what spirit you allow to express itself through you at the time. It's kind of like slavery. 400 years ago, the talk on the block was slavery, more slaves. It's a good teacher. And 400 years into the future, they look back over the decision that they made and say that was the worst decision. That's fine. The unconditional love of the Father encompassed both. He encompassed the master, and it also encompassed the slave. And remember, you don't live but so many days no way, and you out of here. So whatever you believe at that time, it too will pass. Whatever spiritual and physical position you hold in life, it is only temporary. It is only temporary. And this is why you need to understand what life is all about 101. It is for you to do good. It is for you to understand that there is two spiritual kingdoms with two opposing agenda for man, and that you need to study, read, and to grow your wisdom to become a good steward, to grow your crop, to grow your mind, and to understand what this life is all about. The source of good in the world and the source of evil in the world. The game of life in a physical world. That is pretty good. The game of life in a physical world. You know, that's been a pretty good teaching this morning on this principle of spirit made flesh, and how two spiritual kingdoms seek to dominate those who live upon the earth based on their consciousness and their soul. They use drugs, they use music, they use money, they use sex, they use family to try to pull you into their world. And if you going to and I don't think one is no worse than the others. It depends on your judgmental attitude when it comes down. A tear will fall from the eyes of the man who has wisdom when he look upon the earth and see one generation is just wasting its talents and abilities on stupid stuff. Just wasting their days on stupid stuff. And let me give you a case in point. This came to my mind. And then you have another race who wasted their wisdom on the lack of compassion for those who are less fortunate. They are both participating in a sense of ignorance. The wise and the unwise, they are both participating in a sense of ignorance, based on the same master. Based on the same master. And I deal with that. Same master. But let one tell it, one would tell you that his master would be different from your master. But they're all participating with the same master. What was going to bring to mind would be if you take all of the wars through history, all of the wars, all of the people who have died because of a conflict or some sort, some disagreement or some sort, all is not lost. Even though it might seem to be lost, everything in the physical world is not lost, because it's nothing but a game. You take Hitler's concern, take Hitler, the World War I, World War II, all the people who died, the Civil War, all the people who died for the cause of slavery, the cause of freedom. Nothing but a game. Nothing but a game. You come into the world from a spirit, you receive a body, you participate in the world for whatever time you will participate, and you leave here, you go, you out of here. Everybody has done that before us, and it will be the same thing with us. And the best is yet to come. The best is yet to come. Let my kingdom come, let my will be done on earth as it is done in heaven. That's the whole crux of the kingdom of God versus the kingdom of Satan, want to increase its influence into the world. And I think by doing these teaching, it will begin to equip mankind with the wisdom, understanding that there is two spiritual kingdoms that manifest themselves into the world. And by so doing, you can encourage the kingdom of God to multiply itself as a farmer would with the seed that he plants, to bring about a bigger crop of good and a lesser crop of evil. You know that the kingdom of Satan has one mission: I came to kill, steal, and destroy. If I can get you to do what I want you to do. And repeat what I just said. The kingdom of Satan tell you up front that I came to kill, steal, and destroy. And here are some of the methods that I use if I can get you to follow me. The end of you following me will be death, because I want to destroy you. I'm telling you that up front. I want to destroy you if you follow me. And if I can get you to use drugs, if I can get you to listen to the wrong kinds of music, I can get you to wear your pants in public with your underwear showing like it's nothing, like it's supposed to be something pride. If I can get you to listen to the music, I can get you to do that. If I can get you to steal and kill for money, if I can get you to do it, if I can get you to go crazy over sex, the girls, the boys, is epidemic. Sex, all kind of sex. It wasn't designed for that, but you don't know that. If I can get you to do it, I can make you live like animals. I can make you conduct your affairs like animals. If I can get you to do it, I can get into your families and make you treat each other like strangers with no love and no compassion, if I can get you to do it. He's a hell of an adversary. You hear me? That's right. And he told God 24/7, checking to see who I can trick, see who I can devour, see who I can get to do what I want them to do. That's what he does. And this John 10:10 is the foundation of everything. I keep telling you, this John 10:10 opened the door of wisdom. It's the combination to life. John 10:10 is a combination to life, because I tell you the manifesto of the two spiritual kingdoms. One came to give life and to give it more abundantly, and one came to kill, steal, and to destroy. And life is all that we have. We don't have anything else to bring to the table other than life. And whether we do good with it, based on the influence of the kingdom of God, or we do evil with it, based on the kingdom of Satan, where we try to make it better, based on the kingdom of God, we make it worse, based on the kingdom of Satan. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. And we are looking forward to next second Saturday in September. We still will be with John 10:10, the teaching of John 10:10. John 10:10. I probably can, by the grace of God, can teach on John 10:10 throughout eternity, because John 10:10 is the essence of the physical and spiritual world in which we live in. You cannot teach without teaching John 10:10, because every expression in life would be the workings of the two spiritual kingdom that makes up the universe, that makes up creation. This world that was created from a spiritual being. So everything in it would be that being. And if John 10:10 talk about that being, then it would be the essence of everything. Isn't that powerful? I keep telling you that John 10:10. If you ever get it into your spirit to begin to understand the application and the working power of John 10:10 in the physical world, but you will have it. Two spiritual kingdoms sending forth spirits into the world to look for receivers. One sent forth good spirits into the world, look for receivers, and the other one sent forth bad spirits into the world, look for receivers. And the wickedness of man become prey for the adversary. Again, we're looking forward to September, by the grace of God, to come back with John 10:10 revealed. John 10:10 revealed is what we're going to be talking about in the month of September. John 10:10 is deep. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can reach us here at the Institute at 229-446-1664. That's Lonnie Bowman Ministry International. You can reach us at 229-446-1664. Thank you.